Well, it's a month to go before the release of my next album, which is called Point Nemo. It's my 16th album. I did my first album, solo album, 2018. Actually, before then, I was in a band, I don't really talk about it much, but released an album in 2005. So I had a big gap, about, 13 years? 13, unlucky for some, I suppose. But in that time I was doing, just doing the cruise ship thing, I suppose, and just trying to earn money being a musician, playing lots of covers bands and that sort of thing, Anyway, I'm just rambling on. Yeah, so the 16th album, called Point Nemo. So what I thought I'll do is I'll just read out the first few paragraphs of the press release. So it says here, Andrew Van Garratt returns with his new album, Point Nemo. Rock Company is proud to announce the release of Point Nemo, the latest album by British singer-songwriter Andrew Van Garratt. Named after the most remote location on Earth, the point in the Pacific Ocean furthest from any landmass. Point Nemo is an album that embraces both distance and connection. It is a collection of 11 concise, carefully crafted songs that balance introspection, melody and raw energy in equal measure. There you go. I will read more from this press release at another date. Keep rocking and reeling. Anyway, here's part 2 of the press release. I promise you I didn't pay for this. It was done for free by the record company called Rock Company. Anyway, describing the album Point Nemo, which is being released in less than a month. It's about 24 days' time. It's like a Christmas thing, isn't it? Anyway, here we go. So, imagine the Beach Boys and Black Sabbath sharing a rehearsal room while the Beatles and The Clash occasionally drop by to add their own ideas. The result might sound something like Point Nemo. It's probably about quite true, actually, because at the time of the album, I was writing it, Ozzy Osbourne had just died, and so had Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. I was listening to that music all the time, and it's amazing what they did then, really. I mean, Ozzy's solo career, I know people saw it as a joke, but he did some great stuff. Great guitar players, great melodies. And obviously Brian Wilson, some fantastic melodies and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a really good description. So I appreciate that. But here we go with part 3 of the press release. It goes like so. The album continues a remarkable musical journey that began with No Hope in New Jersey, the Atlantic Records signed band where Van Garratt served as lead singer, guitarist and principal songwriter. The band performed at major festivals including Download and V Festival, toured alongside acts such as Millie and Dead and the Donnas, and received support from MTV2 and BBC Radio 1. Yeah, they were great days. It was about 2 years of just constantly just being in a band, touring, writing, playing festivals and all that sort of thing, doing radio interviews, playing live on national radio as well, which was really nerve-wracking, but it was really cool fun anyway. But the biggest disappointment, though, is that we never got to make that second record. I always heard about the difficult second album, so I was writing all the time to make sure we didn't have that. But we never got to make it. So I decided years and years later to include some of those songs on my first solo album. I think one of them might have ended up on my second one as well. But but it wasn't all in vain, because quite a lot of those songs got played in BBC Introducing, which was great. And one of them also was the BBC Introducing Track of the Week. I think that was called, I've forgotten what it's called now. But anyway, it was all good times. So here we go with part 4 of the press release for Point Nemo. It goes like this. Following the band split, Van Garratt spent years honing his craft across the globe, performing in theatres, hotels and cruise ships in more than 30 countries, before returning to England to focus on his own music. Since then, he has built an impressive solo catalogue of 16 albums and 8 EPs, earning repeated recognition from BBC Introducing along the way. Yeah, so a lot of these albums have been signed to production music companies, which is great, including Warner Chappell, BMG, stuff like that. And the BBC Introducing has been great as well. So I've had 48 songs played on there over the years on the normal programme. Then I've had, 12 BBC Introducing tracks of the day and 10 tracks of the week. Well, I'm now parked up in London. I thought, let's read out part 5 of the press release. So it goes like this. For Point Nemo, Van Garratt reunites with drummer Carl Thompson, who previously appeared in his debut solo album, Work Fiction. Together, they deliver an album that feels both immediate and timeless, moving effortlessly between bright melodies, thoughtful lyrics, and moments of gritty rock intensity. Like the lonely figure drifting across the ocean on the album cover, Point Nemo explores what it means to navigate life's uncertainties while searching for meaning, perspective, and human connection. Okay, so now this is the last part of the press release, and it goes like so. With Point Nemo, Andrew Van Garratt once again proves that compelling songwriting does not need boundaries, genres, or expectations. All vocals, guitars, bass, piano, and synths by Andrew Van Garratt, all drums by Carl Thompson, engineering by Andrew Van Garratt and Carl Thompson, overall mix by Andrew Van Garratt, drum mix by Carl Thompson, mastered by Peter Cox at Down the Road Studio in Holland. Yeah, so the album's out on July the 9th. Let me know if you want a copy of a CD. We're getting about 300 printed out. So let me know. Cheers. Thanks. Bye.